Kind of empty in here.
Everyone's working.
You getting the message?
Message?
I had people working on a window for the nave up St. Casimir's since Easter. You know that? I took money from half a dozen different people, told them where it was going to go.
You tell Father Lewandowski?
I was going to surprise him.
Yeah, you surprised everybody. Now there's one window too many, right?
Well, here's the thing. Father Lou says he could take another window in the rectory on the second floor.
Good for you.
No, good for you, Frank. You don't want my finger in your eye. You better do what's right here.
What's right, huh? What's right would be for you to come down here to my house like a decent human being and ask a common courtesy. But that's not you. It's not your way. My old man always said you were a half-assed punk over at Holy Redeemer as a kid. And my sister said you were a pain-in-the-ass pest at all them CYO dances when none of the girls would even look at you. And damn near everyone down the point said when you got your badge, it was too much for anybody named Valchek to have even a patrolman's drag. And sure enough, you've been an official asshole every day since. Fuck you and your window.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another video here on the SSA Philosophy channel, where we explore the philosophies of characters from video games to TV shows to movies, etc., etc. So today's video, we are going to be going over the philosophy of the character known as Frank Sobotka from The Wire. So as always, ladies and gentlemen, let us go on ahead and let us not waste any time here today, and let us get started. Frank Sobotka, a union leader on HBO's The Wire, is a character whose deep, complex philosophy embodies the struggle of the American working class against the forces of globalization, economic decay, and political apathy. He's a man torn between hope and despair, ideals and compromises, duty to his family and his union, and a burning need to secure a future for those he loves. Frank's philosophy isn't neatly articulated or easily categorized. Rather, it emerges through his actions and decisions as he grapples with an economic landscape that seems designed to erase the very world he is trying so desperately to preserve. Frank Sobotka, in many ways, represents a modern-day tragic hero. His tragedy, however, is not shaped by the classical flaws of hubris or ambition, but by loyalty to a way of life that is slipping away. A foreman at the Baltimore docks and a union leader, Frank is a man who feels the weight of responsibility to the families of his union members, his own family, and his father's legacy. His character is a study in contradictions, fierce yet vulnerable, idealistic yet pragmatic. As the seasons of The Wire unfold, Frank's arc illustrates the painful descent of the American industrial worker, and his philosophy encapsulates the erosion of traditional values in the face of a globalized economy. For Frank, every moral compromise he makes is in service of a larger vision, protecting the dignity of the dock workers and the survival of the community. In a world where institutions fail to protect the people they are meant to serve, Frank's philosophy is one of reluctant defiance and sorrowful resilience. He knows the odds are against him, but he clings to the hope that through grit, sacrifice, and loyalty, he might save the dwindling prospects of his community.
All that's on the table.
Right now, there's money in a transpo budget for the grain pier. Also, a bond issue that pays for maintenance dredging on the main shipping channel.
But not the canal?
Nope, not the canal. For that, we're going to have to fight a little longer and dig a little deeper.
So says Frank. I gotta say, for my money, we're lucky if we pull out the grain pier.
Be that as it may, we spent the money and took our best shot. Hired a couple lobbyists, made some smart contributions, paid for a consultant's report to argue against some of the environmental stuff. It costs, but we're starting to see it.
So where y'all find the cash?
I've been robbing liquor stores 2 weeks.
Seriously, we got some help from the national office on this, and there have been some timely donations from a few friends here and there. The point is, at the very least, we're likely to see the grain pier back up by next year, which means maybe a couple hundred more ships a year at least.
If.
And it's a big fucking if.
If that Pollock motherfucker... Hey, no offense. If Krychek don't fuck us by throwing up waterfront condominiums first, right?
That's right.
The backdoor threat is that Andy Cross, some other developer, gets enough last-minute votes to sink the rehab money for the grain pier, because those guys are looking at that location too.
So we need everybody making phone calls. Let your legislators know that we're watching on this. The money only goes so far. Now we got to make some noise, right? Make some noise.
Okay, enough talk. Some of you's got shifts to work in the morning. The rest of yous need to be drunk.
I'll drink to that.
Help from the national office. Huh? Timely donations from friends. Watch your ass, Frank.
At the core of Frank's philosophy is a sense of place and belonging, both geographically and socially. The Baltimore docks are not just a workplace for him, but they represent a tradition, a sense of identity, and a familial bond. Frank's worldview is shaped by a connection to his environment and a belief in the sanctity of one's roots. This philosophy gives rise to a deep loyalty to his union, which he sees as the last bastion of security for the working class in a world that no longer values manual labor. The docks and the union are not just relics of an industrial past. To Frank, they are living entities that hold the history, pride, and resilience of the people. The philosophy of place and belonging is a rich and multifaceted field that explores our intricate relationship with the physical and social environments that shape our identities. It delves into questions about our sense of rootedness, our connection to the past and future, and our role within communities. So, key concepts and philosophers. So, phenomenology. So, this philosophical approach emphasizes the importance of lived experience and subjective perception. Phenomenologists like Martin Heidegger and Maurice Merleau-Ponty have explored how our sense of place is intertwined with our bodily experiences and our engagement with the world. Existentialism. Existentialists like Jean Paul Sartre and Simone de Beauvoir have highlighted the role of place in shaping our sense of self and our existential choices. And, they've also argued that our environments can both limit and liberate us, and that our sense of belonging is often tied to our ability to find meaning in our surroundings. Geography. Geographers like Yi-Fu Tuan and Edward Ralph have explored the cultural and emotional significance of place, and they've emphasized the ways in which places can evoke memories, emotions, and a sense of identity. Cultural studies. So, cultural studies scholars have examined the ways in which cultural practices, such as art, music, and literature, shape our understanding of place and belonging. They have highlighted the role of cultural symbols and narratives in creating a sense of community and shared identity. So, place. So, the nature of place is more than just a physical location. It's a complex interplay of physical, social, and cultural factors. It's shaped by history, memory, and imagination. As Yifu Tuan argues, place is a locus of human experience, a space where we interact with the world and with each other. So, sense of place. This refers to the subjective experience of a place, which is shaped by our personal histories, cultural backgrounds, and emotional attachments. Place identity. This is the way in which a place contributes to our sense of self. It can be rooted in specific memories, experiences, or cultural associations. Place attachment. This refers to the emotional bond that we form with a place because it can be strong or weak and it can change over time. So our sense of belonging. Our sense of belonging is, closely tied to our sense of place. It's a feeling of connection to a particular place or community. This sense of belonging can be rooted in shared experiences, values, or cultural practices. Social belonging. This refers to our sense of connection to a social group such as a family, a community, or a nation. Cultural belonging. This refers to our sense of connection to a particular culture or cultural tradition. Spiritual belonging. This refers to our sense of connection to something larger than ourselves, such as a religious or spiritual community. So, in today's globalized world, our sense of belonging is increasingly challenged by factors such as migration, urbanization, and cultural change. These challenges can lead to feelings of alienation, displacement, and rootlessness. However, they also can create new opportunities for connection and belonging. Frank's attachment to place also means that he struggles with the consequences of gentrification, automation, and globalization, which chip away at the power and significance of blue collar communities. His resistance to these changes is an act of defiance, and while he understands that the tides of modernity are inevitable, he refuses to let them strip away his sense of purpose or the dignity of his union members.
Yeah, you know this.
Yeah. But you know how much money you gonna spend to even get them talking about that shit?
We don't take a shot, we might as well roll over and die right now.
Nah, you get them to rebuild the grain pier. You get 100 ships right there.
That's break bulk, Nat. Best you're gonna do is 1 or 2 extra gangs a week on them blowers, and that's 6 or 7 man gangs at best.
Yeah, but you try for that, you might actually come away with something. You go down to Annapolis asking for the goddamn canal, you gonna come back with nothing but your little shriveled ass dick in your hand. And what's more, if the grain pier don't get fixed up soon, some asshole's gonna fuck us by building condominiums all over it.
Nat, if the canal were 2 feet deeper.
Fuck the canal. I'm gonna go to the district council. Huh? I'm gonna tell them to push for the grain pier. You feel me?
Nat, calm the fuck down.
Goddamn checkers local always acting like you're the king of everything and shit.
Nat, listen to me. If we
Y'all need to crawl back down in them holes. Remind yourself of who you is and where you come from.
Damn, Frank. We just sat here and watched Nat Coxon take a shit all over you. And shriveled dick motherfucker that you are, you take it.
For your information, I wake up every morning with an angry blue vein diamond cutter. I was going to enlighten the president of Local 47 on this particular point. He chose to depart. Blue steel, gentlemen.
For Christ's sake.
3.5 inches of hard blue steel. I'm out. I don't need nothing more to do with you people. I don't need the trouble or the money. I got a union to run.
They used to make steel then, no? Smoke from the stacks, but inside.
For Frank, loyalty is both a guiding principle and a tragic flaw. His loyalty extends to his family, his union, and the dock workers he represents. Frank's notion of loyalty requires sacrifice. He's willing to bend rules, negotiate in the gray areas of morality, and even engage in illegal activity if he believes it will benefit the greater good of his community. In a sense of his philosophy, so really in a sense, his philosophy of loyalty is rooted in a belief that sometimes the ends can justify the means if the means protect the lives and dignity of those who rely on him. Loyalty is a multifaceted concept that can be understood at both individual and collective levels. It encompasses personal loyalty, civic loyalty, and professional loyalty. Personal loyalty is loyalty to your family, friends, and loved ones, and this is often based on emotional bonds and personal commitments. Civic loyalty is loyalty to one's country or community that involves a sense of duty to uphold the values and institutions of society. Professional loyalty is loyalty to one's employer or profession that requires dedication, honesty, and adherence to ethical standards. And sacrifice also plays a role in this as well too, because sacrifice is often an integral part of loyalty. It involves putting the needs of others or a cause above one's own self interest. And this can range from small acts of kindness to significant sacrifices, such as risking one's life for a cause. While loyalty is often seen as a virtue, it can also raise ethical dilemmas. Some key questions include blind loyalty, conflicting loyalties, and loyalty to injustice. Blind loyalty, is it ethical to remain loyal to a cause or individual when, even when it involves compromising one's own moral principles? Conflicting loyalties. How should one navigate situations where loyalties to different individuals or groups conflict? Loyalty to injustice. Is it ever justifiable to be disloyal to a system or institution that is unjust or harmful? Loyalty, duty, and sacrifice are complex and interconnected concepts that continue to shape human behavior and society. By understanding the philosophical underpinnings of loyalty and the ethical implications of its various forms, we can better navigate the challenges and rewards of this fundamental human virtue.
Gentlemen, ladies, the future is now.
To bring goods to an exploding global economy and to deliver those goods faster, cheaper, and safer, modern robotics do much of the work in the world's largest seaport, Rotterdam. Moving cargo is a traditional strength of the Dutch, who shuttle more freight in fewer man-hours than any port in the world. And now, the Dutch have modeled the future of cargo management. Completely containerized cargo arrives and departs on ships a third of a mile long, 24 hours a day, with short turnaround. Smart card technology provides greater security and improved accountability, with no need for unreliable human surveillance. And global positioning systems guide each container to its proper spot on board or on the docks, while state-of-the-art computers track shipments in every part.
Some of the systems you're seeing have already been upgraded. Rotterdam now works 350 million tons of cargo annually, leaving Singapore a distant second.
What kind of man hours are the stevedores clocking over there?
I don't have those figures handy, sorry. But Rotterdam does employ 4,000 people.
4,000 people to move 350 million tons a year?
That's right.
That's efficiency, man.
By eliminating some of the more dangerous work, the Rotterdam technologies have reduced employee work-related accidents and injuries by 60%. I think we can all be pretty happy with that, can't we? Question? Yes?
Yeah, the GPS readings, are they exactly
Can't get hurt if you ain't working,
for
right?
those 20-foot containers?
No, they work with all kinds of cargo and all kinds of weapons.
However, Frank's sense of duty also blinds him to the damage his compromise, pretty much sense of duty also blinds him to the damage his compromises cause, both to himself and to his family. His philosophy leaves little room for personal moral reflection because he sees every action through the lens of communal obligation. This devotion to duty creates an internal conflict as he's forced to weigh his principles against the realities of a broken system. In trying to protect his world, Frank sacrifices pieces of himself, and his tragedy is compounded by his inability to see how much his compromises cost him.
And one more, I just dropped on your barbecue chef outside.
You used to be a lot more fun, you know that, B? That's John Spaminato right there.
Johnny 50. How you doing, officer?
Johnny 50. What the fuck is that?
Son of a bitch drinks 53 beers on his 25th birthday. So it's to be, what do you call it? Poetical. We rounded it off.
Grand jury for the Circuit Court of Baltimore City.
You work the Atlantic Light, right? Everybody on that ship testifies.
About what?
About them girls in the can. The detective here thinks we know something about that mess. He thinks we'd leave them there on the dock in a box, dying there in the dark because why, detective? What reason would we have to want girls to die like that? Why would any of us leave them in there if we knew anything about it? I got a wife and 3 sisters, and they got daughters. And I got too much respect for women not to be pissed off at what's in your heads right now.
But of all the cans on the terminal, that's the one you lose in the stacks.
We didn't know shit, goddammit! You want us to dance with a grand jury, we will. What do you say, Johnny? What do you say to any question?
I take the 5th commandment.
And if they offer you immunity to testify against your union brothers?
I don't remember.
Don't remember what?
Nothing.
What you're forgetting, Detective, is that every IBS local on the East Coast has had its ass in front of a federal grand jury 2 or 3 times already. You want to throw your summonses? Throw them. You want to subpoena our records? Shit, you don't even need a subpoena no more. Our books have been open to the Justice Department for 8 years. We're here through Bobby Kennedy, Tricky Dick Nixon, Ronnie the Union Buster Reagan, and half a dozen other sons of bitches. We'll be here through your wink bullshit, no problem.
These 4 ain't working today. I want to leave the papers here. I'll make sure they get them. Go downtown.
Come on.
Today?
Now!
Frank's philosophy is deeply pragmatic. He recognizes the corruption embedded in both the unions and the political institutions that are supposed to protect the working class. To survive in this system, he adopts a practical approach. If the system is rigged, then he must play by its rules, even if it means bending his own ethical code. Frank's pragmatism is not born out of greed or ambition, but rather a reluctant acknowledgement that idealism alone will not keep the docks alive. At its core, pragmatism posits that the truth of an ideal lies in its practical consequences. Rather than seeking absolute truths, pragmatists prioritize the utility and effectiveness of ideas in the real world. This focus on practicality makes pragmatism a compelling tool for navigating the challenges posed by corruption. Pragmatism's role in addressing corruption. So, it plays a role in identifying practical solutions, adapting to changing circumstances, balancing ideals and realism, encouraging experimentation and innovation, and prioritizing the well being of people. So, when it comes to identifying practical solutions, pragmatism encourages a focus on concrete actions that can mitigate the effects of corruption. Instead of engaging in endless theoretical debates, pragmatists seek to identify and implement practical reforms. This might involve strengthening anti corruption institutions, promoting transparency, or empowering civil society to hold power to account. The other one can be adapting to changing circumstances. Corrupt systems are often dynamic and evolve over time. Pragmatism emphasizes flexibility and the ability to adapt to changing conditions. This means being open to new strategies and approaches as the situation evolves. It also involves recognizing the limitations of any given solution and being willing to adjust or abandon it if it proves if it proves ineffective. Balancing ideals and realism. Pragmatism acknowledges the tension between idealistic goals and the constraints of reality. In a corrupt system, it may be necessary to compromise on certain ideals in order to achieve tangible progress. However, pragmatism also emphasizes the importance of holding on to core values and principles, even in the face of adversity. Encouraging experimentation and innovation. Pragmatism fosters a culture of experimentation and innovation. This means being willing to try new approaches, even if they may seem unconventional or risky. It also involves learning from mistakes and using failures as opportunities for growth and improvement, prioritizing the well being of people. Ultimately, pragmatism is concerned with the well being of people. In a corrupt system, this means focusing on policies and practices that alleviate suffering, promote justice, and enhance human flourishing. Pragmatists are not merely interested in theoretical purity, they're committed to making a real difference in people's lives. While pragmatism offers a valuable framework for addressing corruption, it is not without its challenges. One key challenge is the potential for pragmatic approaches to be co opted by corrupt actors. For example, corrupt officials may exploit pragmatic arguments to justify their actions or to delay meaningful reforms. Another challenge is the tension between short term and long term goals. Pragmatism often emphasizes immediate, practical solutions, but it's important to also consider the long-term implications of these actions. A short-term fix may address an immediate problem, but it may also create new problems or exasperate existing ones. Finally, pragmatism can sometimes be mistaken for cynicism or apathy. It's important to distinguish between a pragmatic approach and a cynical one. A pragmatic approach is grounded in a belief in the possibility of positive change, even in the face of adversity.
Sorry for him. And for you. We should have paid more attention to our own.
Look, I could have stopped Ziggy from what he done. Look, anyone could ever control him.
I was thinking of my boy, too.
Had her dropping a net on all the guys. Ain't no secret things get lost in them cans now and again. He'll be all right.
They tossed my house, Frank. They don't do that when there's a couple of cases of vodka missing. They made me sign a search warrant. That's a receipt, like, for what they found. Heroin, Frank. From this house.
No, that ain't right. That can't be right. I knew Nicky and Zig was boosting stuff, cameras, shit like that. Nothing like this.
You knew? And once Nicky got used to boosting stuff and seeing a little money, what did you think he was going to do? Turn straight all of a sudden and give it up? Nah, Frank. Once you gave him a taste on a house, just...
That was never. I mean, he knew. He knew. Everything I did, the cans I let through, the money we got from that went to keeping what we had.
God damn it, Frank. Don't let that excuse this. Not this. Uncle Frank with the big shoulders. It was broke. Get to my uncle. He can fix it.
This pragmatism, however, places Frank in a constant moral bind. Each decision to compromise his values adds to the weight he carries, pushing him further away from his own identity and eventually his family. In the end, his philosophy of pragmatism reveals the ways in which systemic corruption forces even the most well-intentioned individuals to make concessions, highlighting the tragic cost of survival within a broken system.
What's up?
Great view. The harbor, I mean.
It's fucking picturesque is what it is. Every morning I ask myself, is today the day I drive down to Fort Armistead, stare out at the harbor? No, I figure eventually, if I mind my own business, Uncle Frank will call, wake my ass up at 7 in the goddamn morning, tell me to get my ass down there for some mysterious fucking reason. So hey.
Good anchorage, good cranes, good railroads, close to I-95, a lot of people ready to work, right? That's my fucking town. Except the thing is, we're another 110 miles for any ship coming up from Hampton Roads, an extra day. So why come, right? Why come unless you know your cargo's gonna move fast and clean through the port? Why offload in Baltimore except that the Baltimore gang will turn your ship around faster than any other port, and a Baltimore gang will make sure your cargo, all your cargo, gets where it needs to go faster than anywhere else.
Like you guys never stole nothing back in the day.
We ain't back in the day, Nicky. When's the last time you saw trucks backed up for 3 miles outside Patapsco Terminal? If it wasn't for the car ships, we'd be starving. The cameras come back. I'm serious. They come back today, we tell the shipper we lost a can in the stacks.
They're gone. We turned them over already.
To who? You know the Dasco line's a cunt hair away from taking their business down to Norfolk? I don't need this shit right now.
I do, Uncle Frank. I need the money.
God damn it! You ain't hearing me!
What, you think this shit is easy, huh? You think it's fucking easy? You try living on 5 or 6 days a month, see how fast it puts you on your ass. I am on my ass, Uncle Frank.
You need money, you come to me.
Oh yeah, Frankie Sobotka's father fucking Christmas on the docks lately. No doubt his pockets are full, huh?
You think it's from me? Is that what you think, huh? It ain't about me, Nick!
Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
You got Ziggy mixed up in this, Jesus, Nick. The fuck are you thinking? Me and Zig are gonna talk on this long and hard.
Well, let's go to work. How much?
20. Three-way split.
Yeah, who's the inside man?
You don't know? Fuck you then, I ain't no snitch.
Nobody should flash too much money, you know that much, right?
Frank's philosophy is also shaped by his sense of generational responsibility. He views himself as a custodian of his father's legacy, a role that connects him to a time when manual labor was respected and unions wielded real power. This generational bond informs his values and decisions, imbuing him with a deep sense of responsibility toward his son Ziggy and nephew Nick. However, Frank's attempts to pass down the dignity and pride of the working class ethos to the next generation often clash with the realities faced by younger men. Environmental burden. One of the most pressing generational burdens is the environmental one. The current generation has inherited a planet with significant environmental challenges such as climate change, pollution, and resource depletion. These issues, often caused by past human activities, have long lasting consequences that will affect future generations. The moral imperative to address these challenges and ensure a sustainable future for subsequent generations is a significant ethical consideration. The economic burden is another critical aspect of generational responsibility. This includes issues such as national debt, pension obligations, and social security systems. Current generations often make decisions that have economic implications for future generations. For example, accumulating debt can place a financial burden on future taxpayers, and underfunding social programs can lead to reduced benefits for future retirees. Cultural and social burden. Generational burdens also extend to cultural and social spheres. This includes the transmission of values, traditions, and knowledge from one generation to the next. The current generation has a responsibility to preserve cultural heritage and pass it on to future generations. Additionally, there is a moral obligation to address social issues such as inequality and injustice to create a more equitable society for future generations. Utilitarianism. This ethical theory emphasizes maximizing overall happiness and minimizing suffering. From a utilitarian perspective, the generational burden can be understood as a moral obligation to consider the well-being of future generations in decision making. Contractarianism. This theory suggests that individuals agree to social contracts that govern their behavior. A generational contract can be seen as an implicit agreement between generations to share burdens and benefits. Environmental ethics. This branch of philosophy focuses on the ethical relationship between humans and the natural environment. It highlights the moral obligation to protect the environment for future generations. The concept of intergenerational justice is closely related to the generational burden. It refers to the idea of fairness between generations. This includes ensuring that future generations have the same opportunities and resources as current generations. Intergenerational justice requires careful consideration of the long-term consequences of present actions and a commitment to sustainable development. Addressing the generational burden requires a multifaceted approach. Some key strategies include sustainable development, adopting sustainable practices in areas such as energy, agricultural, agriculture, and industry can help mitigate environmental impacts and ensure a sustainable future. Fiscal responsibility. Governments need to adopt sound fiscal policies to avoid excessive debt and ensure the long term viability of social programs. Intergenerational dialogue. Fostering dialogue between generations can help bridge the gap between different perspectives and promote understanding. Education and awareness. Educating people about the generational burden and its implications can empower them to make informed decisions and take action.
For a number.
The Greeks again.
Who else?
They sure do stir up the shit, them Greeks do.
Uncle Frank.
Hey, Nicky boy, just in time.
Uncle Frank.
What? What happened?
Ziggy.
The fuck is it this time?
He shot. They're saying he shot 2 of the Greeks. Last night, they're saying.
Shot? He shot?
Fucking Christ. He's locked up. He's fucking charged with murder.
The Greeks?
Double G. And one of the kids that works down the store on the avenue with him. They're saying he walked in there. He went in.
Why was he there? Where were you? Where the fuck were you?
Frank, I didn't know.
Didn't know what? What didn't you know? What the fuck is Ziggy doing anywhere near the fucking Greeks?
I don't know, I don't.
You don't know, you're supposed to. You're his fucking cousin.
You're his father.
Frank's philosophy here is marked by a tragic irony. He's working tirelessly to preserve a way of life that the next generation does not want or respect. In his dedication to the Union, he overlooks the personal and emotional needs of his son, leading to an emotional distance that contributes to Ziggy's downward spiral. This generational conflict encapsulates the sad reality that Frank's philosophy of legacy, while noble, may be too rooted in the past to offer real guidance for the future.
Thanks for waiting, Brucey, son.
Frank, I shouldn't even be seen with you at this point.
I just want to settle our business while we still have the chance.
Frank.
Because it ain't like I'm going to get my hands on a whole lot more cash for obvious reasons.
Frank, the grain pier is dead. Half the votes we had lined up are walking sideways now. They read the paper, Frank.
So what? So I'm dirty. The grain pier's still the grain pier, right? They ain't voting for me, Brucey. It ain't about me.
I'm not going to lie, Frank. No one is going to stand with us now that the FBI is on you. They're scared.
Of what?
They took the money, Frank. And now they deliver the votes. They figure the feds are going to be on them, too. I'm sorry, Frank. Look, you find a way of putting this FBI thing to bed, and then maybe we can come back the next session with the grain pier. All right? You'll have a couple of people down there knowing they owe you a vote or two. I don't know what else to say. I don't. Sorry, Frank.
You know what the trouble is, Brucey? We used to make shit in this country, build shit. Now we just put our hand in the next guy's pocket.
Finally, Frank's philosophy is a celebration of the dignity of the underdog. He embodies the pride of the working class, a pride that transcends economic hardship and social marginalization. Despite the bleakness of his circumstances, Frank refuses to see himself or his union members as victims. His philosophy champions resilience and hard work, embracing the idea that dignity is found not in wealth or status, but in the integrity of one's actions and the strength of one's community. So, throughout history, stories have celebrated the underdog's journey, from David and Goliath to the plucky heroes of countless novels and films. The underdog narrative offers a sense of hope and possibility. These tales often highlight the underdog's resourcefulness, determination, and unwavering belief in their own abilities. Their victories, though often improbable, inspire us to challenge societal expectations and strive for greatness against all odds. Philosophers have long pondered the nature of justice and the inherent worth of individuals. The concept of underdog's dignity aligns with several philosophical ideas. Existentialism. Existentialist thinkers emphasize individual freedom and responsibility. The underdog, often forced to make choices in the face of adversity, embodies a spirit of autonomy. The struggle against overwhelming odds becomes a testament to the human capacity for self determination. Social justice. The underdog's plight often intersects with issues of social injustice and inequality. Philosophers like John Rawls and Martha Nussbaum have argued for a just society that protects the rights and dignity of all individuals, regardless of their social status. The underdog's struggle becomes a symbol of the fight for a more equitable world. Virtue ethics. So, virtue ethics emphasizes the development of a moral character. The underdog's journey often involves the cultivation of virtues such as courage, perseverance, and humility. Their resilience in the face of adversity demonstrates the transformative power of these qualities. The psychological appeal. So, the underdog story resonates with us on a psychological level. We identify with their struggles and root for their success. This emotional connection can be attributed to several factors: to empathy, to hope, and justice. Empathy, we empathize with the underdog's plight, recognizing the challenges that they face. This empathy fosters a sense of solidarity and compassion. The underdog's journey offers hope in the face of adversity. The victories inspire us to believe that we, too, can overcome obstacles and achieve our goals. We often do feel a sense of injustice when the underdog is wronged. This fuels our desire to see them triumph and receive the recognition they deserve. The underdog's legacy extends beyond mere entertainment. It serves as a reminder of the power of the human spirit to overcome adversity and achieve greatness. By celebrating the underdog, we honor the resilience, courage, and determination that define the human experience. However, Frank's adherence to this philosophy is what makes his downfall so painful to watch. In a world where institutions are indifferent to the plight of the working class, Frank's dignity is ultimately powerless against forces larger than himself. This tragedy underscores the fragility of dignity in a world that no longer values traditional labor, leaving Frank isolated, betrayed, and abandoned by the very system he fought to protect.
Seventy-six, 72 KGA. Go ahead, 7672. Notify homicide, the OCME. Got a floater, Tapsco terminal. Copy that.
At least I remember the call. Stabbed repeatedly. Torso, abdomen. And they cut his throat to be sure. Single-edged blade. He fought, too. Defense wounds on both hands.
Ligature on both legs. I weighed him down with something, but it slipped off in a drink.
Right.
In the end, Frank Sobotka stands as a tragic figure caught in the collision between idealism and pragmatism, loyalty and sacrifice, community and personal responsibility. His philosophy, while noble and deeply rooted in tradition, ultimately serves as his undoing, as he sacrifices everything in a futile attempt to protect a community that is already disappearing. Frank's story is a reminder of the resilience and dignity of the American working class, but it also but it's also a painful commentary on the economic forces that have rendered that resilience obsolete. Through Frank, The Wire delivers a potent critique of the erosion of the American working class, showing that loyalty, dignity, and community, while noble virtues, may be insufficient in the face of unchecked economic and political power. Frank's life, his sacrifices, and his philosophy reveal the harsh reality that in a world driven by profit, the most principled individuals are often left to pay the highest price. As he stands against the tides of change, Frank Sobotka becomes a symbol of the American worker's struggle, a tragic, flawed, but ultimately noble man fighting for a world that no longer exists. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that does it overall for this video here today. If you, of course, enjoyed this, of course, as always, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell to be notified of every video that I make here on the channel. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, all there is left to say is to always be smooth, to always be steady, and to always be aggressive. Peace.